beneath the portico in front of the house. "It's Gerard, father." "Ah," said Durham, slumping once more into his pillows. "A good boy, Gerard." Edward smiled wryly at his father's masked disappointment. He was glad his younger brother at least was home. "I'll go fetch him right up." "Do that," murmured Durham. "I will be glad to see him. And Charles. Charles will be here soon." "At any moment," Edward said again as he slipped through the door, then held it for the doctor to take his place in the room. He reached the top of the stairs just as his brother came running up. "Am I too late?" demanded Gerard. Edward shook his head. Gerard exhaled and ran one hand over his head. His dark hair was damp with sweat, and dust covered him from head to toe. "Thank God! I've been riding all day, probably damn near killed the poor horse." He glanced at Edward. "Charlie?" "No sign of him, as usual," muttered Edward as they walked down the hall. "Father's been calling for him for 2 days now." "Well, some things never change." Gerard sighed and pulled loose a few buttons of his coat. "I should wash." Edward nodded. "I had all the rooms prepared, but Gerard—" "Hurry." His brother paused on the threshold of his bedchamber. "He's really dying, then?" It did seem incredible, even to Edward. Durham had been a vital person, every bit as robust and daring as his sons. Since the death of the Duchess over 20 years ago, the household had been a preserve of male pursuits, and no one pursued them harder than Durham himself. Edward was almost 18 before any of the brothers could outshoot their father, and they outrode him only when the doctor flatly ordered his Grace out of the saddle at the age of 70 after a bad fall injured his back. But now Durham was 80. He was an old man, and had been dying for the better part of a year. Gerard just hadn't seen the decline. "Yes, he's really dying," he said in answer to his brother's question. "I would be surprised if he lasts the night." When his younger brother slipped into the sick room a few minutes later, Edward had already returned to his post by the window. Durham had told him to wait there to announce Charlie the moment he arrived. He wondered what his father wanted so desperately to tell Charlie. God knew Charlie hadn't cared much for anything the Duke had to say for the last 10 years or so, and apparently still didn't. But whatever final words Durham had for his heir, they were obviously of tremendous importance. When the Duke heard the creak of the door at Gerard's entrance, he lurched up again and cried out, "Charles?" "No, father. 'Tis Gerard." Not a trace of offence or upset marred Gerard's soft tone. He crossed to the bed and took his father's hand. "Edward wrote me some nonsense that you were ill," he said. "I came to thrash some sense into him." "But why did you not bring Charles?" whispered the Duke in anguish. "Oh, lads, I have to tell Charles. Ask his forgiveness." That was new. Edward abandoned his window post as Gerard shot him a curious look. "Forgiveness, father?" A tear leaked from the Duke's eye, tracing a glistening path down his sunken cheek. "I must beg pardon of you all. I didn't know. If only I had known in time. You, Gerard, will come out well enough. You always do. And Edward will have Lady Louisa. But Charles will not know what to do." "What do you mean?" Edward had to admire his brother's calm, even tone. The Duke's demeanour was raising the hair on the back of his neck. "Edward." Durham reached feebly for him, and Edward stepped forward. He knelt beside the bed, leaning closer to hear the Duke's quavering voice. "I know you would forgive me."